Welcome to Greystone Capital Group, where we invite you to embark on an extraordinary journey towards a life of abundance and fulfillment. Here, we don't just dream about financial freedom. We turn those dreams into your everyday reality. Picture a future where your wealth grows effortlessly, paving the way for a life filled with true prosperity. At Greystone Capital Group, we specialize in the transformative power of passive investing in commercial real estate. Join us as we extend to you a unique opportunity to unlock the doors to financial success. Your journey to financial freedom and a fulfilled life begins right here, right now, with Greystone Capital Group. So buckle up for a transformative experience. Subscribe now and let Greystone Capital Group be your guide to shaping a brighter tomorrow.
Hi, Derek, and welcome to Building Wealth Through Commercial Real Estate.
Thanks for having me, Jonathan.
Thank you. Derek has a marketing firm, Adopt Media, which I'm also one of his clients. I'm very happy with the website. Thank you very much. And we want to talk about Derek's kind of background and see how he got into, I guess, marketing and media. So, Derek, can you tell us about how you first started and how you get into this media marketing program?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story, kind of where I am today and really kind of working our way backwards is how I got here. I was just having a conversation with Jason Wright, who I know you also work with as well. And back in 2019, I actually did not have a marketing firm. I actually owned a medical distribution business. And, I was at a stage in my life where I wanted to get into something that sort of filled my soul, filled my heart, in terms of what I was doing on a day-to-day and a regular basis. And I wanted to have mobility in what I was doing. I could do it from anywhere in the world. So, and I wanted to travel the world. So my wife and I decided like, hey, you know what? We're going to start a marketing firm, because I did a lot of marketing for my medical distribution business. And I was always in a sales and marketing role in corporate America through the years prior to that. So, but you know what? I'm going to start a marketing firm, and we're also going to start a travel agency, which is funny because yes, people are like, those things still exist. We're like, yep. So that by diving into both those industries, that would allow us to go travel the world. She would run that. That was the plan. And then I would start this marketing firm, which when we first started, we only did marketing, or we did marketing for anybody. It didn't matter. You're a pizza shop, you're a plumber, or you're a syndicator or a capital raiser. We did your marketing and branding for you. And yeah, so in 2019, actually, I had one client. And that one client was Chris Benson at Reliant Investments. So they're a self-storage operator out of the Southeast. And the only reason I got that client, because I was Chris's first boss out of college. So he kind of like owed me a favor. We were boys, basically. So he brought me in to do the marketing for their capital raising and syndication branding, as well as all their self-storage units to kind of fill them up with tenants. So it was my first introduction into the other side of that business. And then I picked up some other clients, like a mattress company and some other things. We started to grow, started to hire more employees, started to get bigger and bigger. And then somebody by the name of Whitney Sewell at LifeBridge Capital saw our company name at the bottom of Chris Benson and Reliance website. And he liked the site. And he's like, and he called me up. Actually, he called Chris, and Chris referred him to me. And so we built Whitney Sewell's brand. And Whitney's, many were listening, has a podcast as well, much like you, Jonathan. And he asked me to be on his podcast. I was like, sure, podcast. That sounds cool. Let me do that. This is before I really knew that. Now we produce podcasts for people. It was my first time being on a podcast. And my phone started to ring, right? As I talked about marketing for capital raisers and syndicators, because I, at that point, had done 2 brands, right? Chris's and Whitney's. Now we've done hundreds of them. And just one thing led to another, man. It was just like, as I won this podcast, we built another brand. We did a good job with them. That led to another person, and it sort of snowballed and it grew virally over the years, to the point where I started to really just focus on building those brands for clients and really understanding the business. And the more I understood it and I hung out with dudes like you, I started to realize, like, hey, man, I want to get into this business. Like, I actually want to raise capital. I want to get involved in real estate. So I said, you know what? How do I do this? Right. I asked a couple of clients. I was like, hey, it was Tim and Greg Lyons at Cityside Capital. I was doing a video shoot with them in Virginia one day. I said, how do I do this? How do I get into the game? You guys were firefighters. You work at like a fitness company. I'm like, how did you get into raising capital? So they told me their story. And they said, hey, dude, you've got a skill set in doing branding for these capital raisers. Eventually, someone's just going to ask you to be, every one of these companies needs that guy. Eventually, someone's just going to ask you to be their partner. So I decided, okay, cool. I'm going to do that. I'm going to find somebody who wants to sort of I can tether myself to their wagon and come into the space. So I opened up a company called Adapt Wealth with a few partners, and we were capital raisers, right? So which I know you work with a lot of these folks. I raised capital for other sponsors and operators, and we did that for a couple of years, and that sort of wet my teeth a little bit for raising capital for other sponsors and operators. And that fizzled, if I'm being honest. Like we raised about $20 million over the course of a couple of years, and that company was sat kind of like third or fourth or fifth position for my partners, and they were busy with other things, and it just wasn't really taking off. So then I was given an opportunity with somebody that I met with, who's now my partner, who's a sponsor and an operator, which really made the next graduation for me, was to actually be part of building these assets. Yeah. And he was starting a company. And at this point, I'd built 250 brands. I'd seen every asset class. I'd seen every pitch. I'd seen every type of way in which you can slice up this real estate game. And I was in it for, 3-4 years. And he had such a unique approach to the way in which he was doing real estate that I was very intrigued. And we sort of hit it off on the phone. His name is Bala Christian. We're partners now. And he was looking to start this company. And I sort of threw it out there. I'm like, hey, I could work with you as like, hey, you're marketing guy and you pay me a fee and I go do your branding. I said, or we could work and have a different relationship at a different level. We become, I didn't pitch being partners at that point, but I was kind of finding a way to see if I could be part of what he was just starting, because it was just a thought at this point. And we hit it off. I flew out to Phoenix a half a dozen times to meet him, to vet each other out, get to know each other. And so began that relationship, and it's now blossomed into, we're doing $250 million right now worth of ground up development in the build to rent space in Phoenix, Arizona. We just raised just under $50 million this year with investors and working with co-GP partners. And, it's just, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago that I didn't even know what capital raising meant. So I don't honestly, it's wild that I'm even sitting here on a podcast with someone like yourself who's in this same space saying that. But for all those folks that are listening that are sort of new to the game, they're looking to get into the game and they're not sure, or how am I going to learn? Just do it. I mean, you'd be amazing when you start to make these relationships where you may find yourself one day. So that's kind of the Reader's Digest version of how I went from, being an OR medical device sales to, raising 50 million the last year.
Well, congratulations. You did very, very well. It's very hard to do. In capital raising, in the beginning is very difficult. I think in the beginning we tried, it was like pulling teeth. Is very difficult. And then after a while, you get used to it, man. And after you have the track record, it's easy to convince and kind of educate and then raise millions of dollars. So that's great. That's great. So I love how you, I like your company because you resonate with the people. You try to find the avatar. You're trying to find the right branding that makes sense for that person and persona, and try to make it like unique website. And then I guess to help them show them the way so that investors can see the website and help them raise capital for the website. Really, that's what you're looking for, to raise capital through the website, basically.
Yeah, it's branding in any industry, it doesn't matter, but we'll talk specifically about capital raising. The single most important thing you can do is really understanding who your audience is, right? So for folks that are listening that are, looking to start their own capital raising brand, or they're having a hard time maybe attracting investors, a lot of times we go through the motions, right? Which is, we go out and we get a website, and I'm air quoting for people who are listening, or we go out and we set up our email campaign, or we make some social media posts. And yes, you're doing the things that you should do that make sense from the book that you read, or the course, or the mastermind that you're in. But there are just sort of these benign, boring attempts at just saying, like, hey, I've got a great deal, come invest with me. Now, the problem is that doesn't connect with anybody. And so many other people are out there saying that same message. So how do you get the attention of your investor in a sea of other people saying the same messages? You truly need to connect. And it's getting noisier and noisier in the digital landscape these days. So the way to be able to reach more people is to talk to less of them. Okay, so I'll say that again. The way to reach more people is to talk to less of them. What I mean by that is niche down. The riches are in the niches. Some say niche, some say niche, but the riches are in the niches. So the smaller and more condensed you can make your audience. And what I mean by that is the more specific you can get with who you're trying to reach. And I'll give you some examples. The greater success you'll have, because now that individual doesn't see this benign, boring, just sort of flat, hey, we've got a multifamily deal and we got this IRR on it. Like, cool, that's great. That's awesome. You have a fantastic deal, but that's not going to connect with people. But if you can say, hey, I'm a tech employee that left the tech space and I dealt with these struggles of being a commissioned salesperson in the tech industry and have my quota get jacked up every time that I had a good year. So I had these huge commission checks and now I get these small, now my quota went up. So I'm getting small commission checks and I'm having a hard time making ends meet. Like, again, it seems pretty specific, but the person, if you're able to get that message to that individual that's in tech sales and can experience that, has immediate trust with that individual because they're in tech sales too, and they're looking at them that now they're doing what they want, they're traveling the world, doing whatever the heck they want, because they've created these passive streams of income and aren't so reliant upon these commission checks. Hey, you just solved the problem, right? And at the end of the day, every business, I don't care what you are, you're Domino's Pizza, you're a plumber, you're a capital raiser, you're a syndicator, you're a solution to a problem. And if you can identify with the problem that your niche avatar has, empathize and understand what the problem that they have, and then act as a guide or a solution in their journey to getting to the dreams that they want, you're going to win, right? So that's really where the true art happens. Is first, when we work with our clients, we spend a lot of time finding out, okay, who are you trying to talk to? Because that's ready, aim, fire versus ready, fire, aim, which is we just start building stuff and there's not any messaging tied to it. So when you build a brand, which like we did with you, when you build a brand isn't a thing, right? It's actually a bunch of things together that create a new association or a thing. And Alex Ramosi explains that as a bouquet of flowers, which I thought was a great analogy, which is you've got your video, you got your copywriting, you've got your emails, you got your text messages, you got your pitch deck. All these things need to be congruent. They need to be speaking to the same person, saying the same thing. They all need to be in alignment. The color palette's got to be the same. Those are like roses in a bouquet of flowers. So if I don't know who I'm talking to, then I can't make sure that the copy, the imagery, the way in which I'm speaking on camera, like you came to our studio in Charlotte, North Carolina, you had a very specific audience that you're trying to speak to. So we wanted to make sure that the language, the scripts were written in a way which was speaking to your avatar, right? And all that stuff creates and helps develop trust, right? Because if I look at a bouquet of flowers and one of them is dead and wilted over, well, guess what? The whole bouquet kind of looks like garbage. So we, as marketers or any good marketing firm, wants to really focus on who that niche and avatar is first. And we create what we call blue water, right? It's just kind of a fishing analogy. You got a big ocean, you got a lot of sharks swimming around, and those are your competitors. If I can find a little bit of blue water where it's not bloody, then I can go fish in there and you can do real well. So for those who are listening, like niching down, and if you want, Jonathan, I can go into like examples of like different niche layers by category that these folks can focus on. But that's what makes a big difference. And then, and only then we can start talking about the importance of lead magnets, the importance of video, the importance of all these other elements that really make your branding come to life.
Yeah, and then you also have those some great videos that illuminates it. You also have some lead magnets, and also you have some in the back end as well, right? To kind of capture some of the email and kind of the CRM basically. Okay, great.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's good. That's good that you have that, because then when people see that, they can kind of resonate with you and kind of attract to you, and then they're going to want to talk to you basically. So let me ask you, in your Adopt Media, how many years you built this firm, this media firm?
So I started this in 2018, is when I actually started. That was when I had my first client. And it really wasn't until 2019 that it really took off. 2018, it was a side hustle to my already entrepreneurial venture in having a medical distribution company, which was wildly successful. I just hated it. Like, I was making good money, great partners, but it wasn't it wasn't in alignment with what I wanted to do as like a human being. It wasn't serving the purpose that I felt I was here to do So
Yeah.
they had this misalignment, this weird energy to it,
Right.
which I know you and I have talked a lot about that energy and how
Right.
important it is.
Right.
So, so yeah,
Okay,
it's about
that's good.
2018.
So it's good. I think synchronicity is that you bring you back to around to where you belong, where you wanna, thrive and be in a higher vibration, basic state. Okay, that's
Totally.
good. That's good. So yeah, so if audience listen to Derek is a great company for your marketing website, helping you find your avatar, building that brand, and he does videos and stuff like that. So that helps you if you need like a website like that. He can help you solve that issue, which I needed because I built my own website 5 years ago. I didn't know what it was, and I'm like, I come to Derek because Derek, I need your help because I don't know what should I do. I need to upgrade it, and then he helped me build a very beautiful website. I'm very happy of it. So that's great. That's great. So how
Came out
people
great,
reach
man.
out to you, Derek, for your website?
Yeah, so people want to reach out, learn more, have a call with me so we can dive deep into your avatar and really try to understand like who it is you're trying to reach. Not only from the perspective of like, hey, Derek, the capital, or hey, Derek, the marketing agency guy, but also the sponsor and operator who's raising capital. I think that's kind of what separates us, Jonathan, is like I speak your language because I'm doing what a lot of you folks are doing that are listening. But if they want to reach me, two ways. So one is they can go to Adapt Media Agency, so ADAPT mediaagency.com, or you can email me directly at Derek, DEREK, at adaptmediaagency.com. That's a great spot to just grab a call. It's free. We'll spend an hour together. As I spend a lot. That's my favorite part of the day is just talking to folks, learn about your business. Let's figure out your avatar, and let's nail it down.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Derek. Thanks for sharing your advice and coming on the show. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate you.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us on this exciting journey with Greystone Capital Group. Your commitment to financial freedom is the first step toward a brighter future. We hope the insights shared today inspire you to take action and shape the prosperous life you deserve. Remember, at Greystone Capital Group, we're here to support you every step of the way on your path to financial success. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more empowering content. Your journey to financial freedom has just begun. Until next time, make every investment count and live your life of prosperity.